All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here on the Harmless Dave channel. Yes, and talking about real music and doing it in real time for a few real people out here, just like you right there, and just like me here. So I'm going to be talking about Steve Perry's net worth. Holy crap, Batman. Steve Perry is worth a lot of money. Before I get to Steve, this band here, I mean, they sent me a CD all the way from Sweden and a couple of t-shirts to go with it. So, um, Carl Berglund, who I believe is the leader of this band, had him on my show not too long ago. Really great guy. And was in a band called Age of Reflection before this band. I think this band is even better than AOR, as we used to call them. This is the new album by Nationwide. It's called Echoes, courtesy of Pride and Joy Music. If you like your rock with melody, if you like it melodic, here it is. Keyboards included. So again, Nationwide is on your side. I had to do it once. All right. So Steve Perry, gonna do a little screen sharing here. This is from the website Celebrity Net Worth. And check this out. So Steve Perry is worth 70 million bucks. Holy crap, Batman. How much is Neil Sean worth? Let's just check this out here. So Neil Sean is worth 40 million bucks. Let's see how much Jonathan Cain is worth here. Jonathan Cain is also worth 40 million bucks. So how is it that Steve Perry is worth more than both of his former bandmates? I mean, they have to combine their income and then add Arnel Pineda's income to it to actually surpass Steve Perry. Well, I think everybody kind of knows this story already, but I'm going to try to condense it a little bit, even though I may not end up condensing it. It may go on for too long. So, first of all, why the 70 million? Number one, Journey is a cash cow. And Steve really wanted the band to end when he left the band. He really did. He wanted those guys, pun intended here, to go their separate ways. And they could do anything they wanted. And I'm talking about Jonathan Cain, Neil Sean, maybe at the time it was Steve Smith and Ross Valerie, right? And this phrase that Perry used in the famous VH1 documentary, please, guys, don't crack the stone. Well, Neil and John were really eager to take Journey back out on the road. And they were really bummed out when Perry refused to tour. Keep in mind, right? Jonathan Cain and Neil Sean, neither of them have to sing lead vocals for Journey. So it's easy to say, yeah, let's go back out on tour. We just need a guy to sing because anybody can sing for Journey. Nope, not everybody can sing for Journey. That's the problem. And we know what happened to Steve Augeri, the guy who succeeded Perry. And you couldn't pick a better name for a singer who is going to replace Steve Perry. Who's the new singer? Steve Augeri. Augeri, Perry, Steve, Perry, Augeri. I mean, yeah. And, Dean Castronovo, the current drummer, and he was the drummer back in those days when Steve Augeri joined the band. He called Steve Augeri Steve Perry with a perm. It's a very Dean line. You got to love Dean Castronova, right? So you don't have to sing, right? Neil and John, they still don't have to sing for Journey. Although John every so often gets a vocal part if they do feeling that way anytime. John does the Greg Raleigh part, and he does it pretty well, actually. I've heard him do it several times, and I wasn't disappointed. I thought I was going to be, but I wasn't. Anyway, the bottom line is Steve Perry made the deal of the century. If you want to know why he's at 70 million, and he did it without doing a lot of work, right? He did a lot of work when he was in the band, and he was a controlling force while he was in the band, but he made the deal of the century at the corporate level. Basically, in order to buy Steve Perry out, they had to make Perry still be a financial partner for pretty much ever, right? And what Perry gets out of this, initially, I think it was a third of everything between himself and Neil and John. But then over time, that number is reduced to, I believe, down to about 12% of revenue. And I'm talking about everything the band makes, including merchandise. So this was a pretty big deal. That's why I think Steve Perry was interested when that trademark case came up. I think he was definitely interested in what those guys were going to do. Initially, he was going to stop them from doing it or try to stop them from doing it. But then I think he realized, well, they could make more money and I will make more money from them making more money. So, because Perry still gets a percentage. I've heard numbers as low as 5% and as high as 12%. I don't know specifically where that number is, but it went down, but it can only go down so far. It can't go down to zero. So as long as Journey exists, Steve Perry will get a portion of the revenue from whatever they do, including albums, by the way, which, selling albums today isn't easy. And Journey found that out when they put Freedom out there. But I think if they had better production on that record and scaled some of those songs down a little bit and gotten rid of a few songs, I think the album would have done better. And the fact that they have no radio support, which is kind of a bummer. So you need somebody to go out there and market. Maybe Steve Perry can work the phones and call some radio stations, right? So Steve Perry, right, lives fairly modestly compared to other rock stars. Not going to mention any names here, but Perry seems to be pretty content with what he has. And I'm not saying he lives like a bum, because he doesn't. He lives very well. But compared to the rock star lifestyle, which even older rock stars tend to want to embrace, not Steve Perry. He grew up in Hanford, California. He was fixing the chicken coop or whatever at one point prior to being discovered by Journey. So he was doing manual labor, and it seems as though his modest and humble upbringing certainly contributed to his more reserved rock star lifestyle. So currently, right, Perry is worth $30 million more than Neil Schon, $50 million more than Arnel Pineda. And by the way, Arnel has been with Journey far longer than Steve Perry had been. So again, kind of interesting about the net worth and all that. And I think Perry manages his money well. He's not a frivolous spender from all accounts. And I think he wants to live a simple life. I don't think he wants all of the craziness that comes with the rock star life. That's one of the reasons he got out of it. You can watch the big interview with Dan Ruther. They released another clip from that. And it's a really good clip because it talks about how Perry left Journey and why he left Journey. And people are endlessly fascinated with that story. When people just quit at the very apex. Another band that quit when they were super popular were the Police. And the Police obviously just couldn't get along with one another. But yeah, we just released this little album called Synchronicity, and we're just going to quit. We're going to stop being the Police. Then, of course, Sting went on to have a pretty decent solo career and is even out there today. I think he's got a new song with Snoop Dogg or something, or Snoop Dogg sampled a Police song. I don't know why I went down that road, but when I thought about bands quitting when they were at the top, I had to think of the Police because they were just so big. So anyway, if you're a Steve Perry fan, you might be, because he seems like a pretty modest guy. Doesn't really want the spotlight, and I can appreciate that. Some people just live in the spotlight. They love the spotlight, and they live a lifestyle that puts them in the spotlight all the time. Steve Perry, just the opposite. Very reclusive and when he does something or says something, people tend to pay more attention to it because he doesn't do it all the time. All right. Enough said there. Perry's lifestyle. And here's Nationwide. They're on your side. Got to keep doing it with their album Echoes. It's funny because the guys in Sweden have no idea about the insurance company. I I talked to this guy Carl who's in the band, and he's like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, there's an insurance company called Nationwide." So probably American musicians wouldn't name their band Nationwide. I don't have a problem with it. It's actually kind of fun to say Nationwide is on your side. So you can go listen to Echoes. It's really good. This is quality melodic rock. In the year 2024, it's still being made, which is fantastic. A couple of things before I go. If you can subscribe to this channel. Yeah, I need subs. I'm trying to rebuild. The other channel is frozen in time. And if you join Patreon, we can have a discussion on exactly what happened because there are some interesting details as to why that occurred. It's a bit of a self-inflicted problem, though, I will say. But I'm trying to be more diplomatic with things in general going forward. But every so often, some of my crazy, just unusual self will definitely come out in these videos. I just can't help myself. I'm trying, folks. I'm trying. If this was a new leaf, if this album was a new leaf, I would do this, right? Turn it over. And it makes a very nice coaster, by the way. If you serve adult beverages, you can put your beverage right on top, or coffee, which is kind of my speed these days. God bless everyone, folks. It's the reason to celebrate Jesus Christ. He is the reason for the season. Someone said to me, "What's up with this Jesus talk?" And I go, "Well, Jesus is everything." "Well, he has nothing to do with Journey." "No? Well, Steve Perry brought a Bible to the trial by fire recording sessions. Jonathan Cain is a Christian. Of course it has something to do with everything. Jesus is the reason for everything." So anyway, that was my little mini rebuttal where I was getting a little bit vociferous. I will stop now, though. Yes, God bless. Thank you. Shop carefully if you're looking for Christmas gifts. It's getting a little crazy out there.